try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
I'm talking about Frank Deontay George, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, the rookie, Cody Williams, the rookie, Bryce Santamore, second year, maybe keep it Walker Kessler. That means either Danny Ainge thinks that they're going to be a championship team in 3 to 4 years, or he's going to wait 1 year and he's going to trade Lauri Markkanen and he's going to get the farm.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Korn Ferry tour.
You know, the top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rory, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, you know, all four Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, you know, it really is pretty deep.
In-game live, prime time, only on...
Packers playing the Broncos this week. I love that. I was looking at the Brazil game, Friday night. It's a weird way to open the season, too. The Eagles play Thursday night against the Patriots, and they're plus 2.5. I'll take the Eagles. I like the Eagles. That's what I'm saying. I like the Eagles either way.
Remember the last time these teams met, Gabe, when you were hosting the late night show and a friend, an intern of the program, had a wet bag full of money? It was the Eagles-Patriots preseason game. Crazy memories. With
I won't be putting $36,000 on it. That's what the total is too. 36.
$36K, please.
These preseason games are wild, man. You know, like they come down to a play or two. Like I always tell people this: you win the totals. Last week. I think it was 10-4 to the under. There were like 4 or 5 games that would have went over, but teams got stuffed on the goal line. Mm-hmm. They couldn't score. The Detroit Lions would have covered the spread against the Giants. They got stopped twice, 2 different times. They got inside like the 5 and 7 yard line type of deal. They couldn't score. They went for it on 4th down. The Atlanta Falcons with Nate Rourke. Maybe if Nate Rourke scored a touchdown, maybe he'd still be there and everything would be different in the CFL right now. But he couldn't get it in the end zone. It's like these totals last week. I think this week we might see a little bit more points in the NFL preseason, but to clarify, so I get it right, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Patriots, 2.5 point favorites, the Patriots on Thursday night. Then there's no game Friday for whatever reason. Then Saturday, there's a million NFL preseason games. Rick Saratella is going to step up in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk college football, CFL football, NFL football with Rick Saratella. Shotboy Pete, I see on Twitter. I said I found top 2 teams in each division as a prop bet, and he said the Saints and Panthers to be the top 2 in the NFC South should pay very well. Yeah.
Is that his bet?
It will.
I love you, Pete.
You're better off playing the lottery at that point. Go play some scratch tickets. Like I'm dead serious. Like you're better off. If you put like $100 on this bet, just go play $100 in scratch tickets, and you might be able to scratch out. Like who knows? Maybe you'll get lucky and win $50 profit or something. Maybe you'll get really lucky. Oh, I won a $3,000 ticket, because you're not going to win that. But as far as the odds are concerned, for that, It is 28-1 that the Carolina Panthers and New Orleans Saints are the top two teams in the NFC South this year in any particular order. Plus 2,800, 28-1. If you look at this division, this almost seems too good to be true, this bet, and you're getting it at plus money. This is the one that I like the most, actually. There's a couple of them that I like, but NFC South. So it doesn't have to be in any particular order. Think of it like a boxed exacta. It could be 1-2, 2-1, whatever. They just have to be the top two teams in a division. The Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are plus 110 to be the top two teams in their division. And let's consider the Carolina Panthers' odds are the lowest, along with the Patriots, to be the worst team in the National Football League. And the New Orleans Saints aren't expected to be lighting the world on fire this year either. All right? So, to me, this really is a two-team division and a two-team race, and you're getting plus money for it. I think it's a very good bet, and it's a bet that I'm going to make. The Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be the top two teams in any order in the NFC South. There's no way the Panthers are going to be in the top two, and I don't think the Saints can either, even though the Saints don't want to hear that they're going to be terrible, but I don't see the Saints being in the division picture here. This is a good bet. Falcons, Bucks, plus one, plus 110.
Second in the division. I think they come second in the division behind Atlanta. Tampa Bay third.
I think you're off on the Panthers, in my opinion. They're not going to win 6 games.
Hey,
they're bad, bro. They're bad.
We'll
they're going to be like 2-win team, 3-win team type deal.
Really? I think the Saints have a worse record than the Panthers at the end of the year. I'll make that bet.
Well, see if you can find that bet. That's not.
I don't
the
think
bet
I can.
that's there.
No, I just don't think the can. Like I get it. I get it. But I'm just going to tell you, I think the Carolina Panthers are going to win like 7 games this year. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to win 2.
How?
I think they're going to win like 7 because their divisions. The Saints have nothing, Gabe. They have horrible.
So they play the Saints
all their
twice.
Positions. Yeah, and you know what? The Falcons are like they're crowning. I think the Falcons win the division. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take a step back. I don't think Baker plays as good as he did. I think it's the weakest division. I think Carolina could make a move. That's just my opinion. I know it's not, people think these guys absolutely suck, going to be the worst team in the league. I don't think so. I think they'll have a better record than New England, and I think they can have a better record than the Saints. I got the Saints at 22-1 to have the worst record. You know, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. You know, that's what I believe. I think the Saints.
I can see the Saints. I could see the Saints struggling. I mean, they're. You want to talk about mediocrity, and they're not even in the middle. They're like. It's falling apart in New Orleans right now. This is a team that needs a legit shot in the arm. One positive for the Saints is Spencer Rattler, who looked good in the preseason game for him. I think he's going to have a chance to be the quarterback of the future there once this Carr era ends. But, you know, what's the Saints win total right now? Like, I think of the Saints, and I think, all right, they can grind out 6-7 wins type of deal. Problem with the Saints is they're old. They don't have any young talent. Like, so the Saints, they're very thin. They're kind of older. They have some talented players, but on the backside of their careers for the most part. And as far as like drafting in like the past couple of years, they haven't really done a great job at that. So I'm not going to disagree. I don't think the Saints are. I think the Saints are in trouble coming into the year. But Carolina is bad. Like the Saints are like 6-7 wins. I think Carolina is like 2 again type deal.
I think that's just my opinion. I think they're going to have a better record than the Saints. The problem with the Saints, too, they had a cap issue. They're very thin, is what you said, Gabe. And they're very thin at popular positions. Any type of injuries, this team is in big trouble. I like Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's a great draft pick. I know we like him a lot. He was great at Alabama. But other than that, Olave, he's a little bit fragile. Like, if anybody – and they also had to put, like, guys late round picks in certain positions because of their financial situation. The Saints, if they have any type of major injury, they're toast. That's why I love their under 7.5. It's one of my favorite bets. That's just my opinion. I think they don't even get close to that number. I think they win like 4
I like that bet. I don't think they get to 8 wins either. I don't think they're going to get to 8, the New Orleans Saints. The AFC East, the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins to be the top 2 teams are plus 130. The Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets to be the top 2 teams are plus 190. the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets are plus 225. This division, also an intriguing bet because you can eliminate one of the teams as well. So now it's basically, all right, you got 3 teams, and you just got to pick the top 2 out of the 3. And technically, hell, you could bet on the Bills-Dolphins, Bills-Jets, and win money at plus 130 and plus 190 if you put enough on it. If you think it's going to be the Bills-Jets and or the Dolphins-Jets, whatever, like, you could actually take 2 of them and grind out a profit if you wanted still to, which, like, people with real money, like Paul Bova the other night was talking about. He said, at this time of the year, a lot of my futures are, I'm just looking at different books and I'm seeing if I could just make free money. And here's an example, right? Like, you can, take 2 plays and, you can't grind out 3 of them, you'll notice. You can't take all 3 and make money, but you can take 2 of them and make money. So if you think the Buffalo Bills are a fade this year, the Dolphins and Jets are better, you're getting plus 225. If you think the Jets are not for real, but the Dolphins are and the Bills are still good, then you're getting plus 130. I have a hard time buying into the Jets. I just do. Like, with their offensive coordinator, with their head coach, you have a 41-year-old quarterback that, is he going to get hurt again? I have a hard, I do believe in the Miami Dolphins more than the Jets, but I think the Dolphins are flawed too, to be honest.
I like the Bills a lot in that division.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
It just goes to show you how special this guy is, and I can't figure out why he doesn't cut through like the Tiger Woods of the world in that kind of dominant fashion in years past.
He stepped up to the tee box on the 14th hole, and he was 60-1 to win that golf tournament. He was trailing by 6 shots, and he comes out on top.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
However many units are on the line, however many people, however many cocktails, it's a perfect scorecard. And someone questioned him on one hole. He's like, well, one thing I never get wrong is the scorecard. And then we're on 13 and he's added up and he's like, this is wrong.
I looked back from number 13 and I'm like, I'm missing $140 somewhere. I don't know where I'm missing it. And I'm looking back and I'm like, no, it doesn't match up on 11. And I got to track it back to number 7.
Only on SportsGrid.
I'm talking about playing Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, the rookie, Cody Williams, the rookie, Bryce Sansamore, second year, maybe keeping Walker Kessler. That means either Danny Ainge thinks that they're going to be a championship team in 3 to 4 years, or he's going to wait 1 year and he's going to trade Lauri Markkanen and he's going to get the farm.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the Pittsburgh Players, the Hustlers, the Rick Saratellas, and everybody else in between. There's a lot of stuff to unpack. Countdown to kickoff is on. College football rapidly approaching, less than 2 weeks away. NFL football rapidly approaching. CFL football getting crazy right now. As I've always said, the C in the CFL stands for crazy. It was just a couple of nights ago that Nate Rourke was competing for the third string job with the Atlanta Falcons, playing in the fourth quarter in Miami against the Dolphins. Fast forward to Tuesday, he signs a 3-year deal with the BC Lions to return to the team that he was the most outstanding offensive player in the CFL just 2 years ago. Rick Saratella steps up and in to break it all down. He's pounding the pavement, still scouting the college camps, checking in on the NFL camps. Rick, good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, Gabe, happy to be here, man. Got that football fever. And, Nathan Rourke coming back to Canada, probably where he belongs, wanted to kind of fulfill that NFL dream, had that passion, pursued it, give the man a lot of credit. And then the kudos for making the smart business decision. I mean, he can go hang out up north for the next 10, 15 years, earn a good living, become the face of the league, in my opinion. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
You know, he had gone through a couple of teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Giants, the Patriots. It almost felt like he had a shot with the Falcons, only due to the fact they're paying Cousins so much money. They draft Michael Penix. Do they really want to be paying Heineke $4.5 million? Word is they were looking to trade Heineke. But I knew, Rick, the writing's on the wall. You've been around long enough to see this as well. When you come into a football game with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you're not in their long-term plans, Rick.
Yeah, and I think, too, also when you've seen the NFL expand the schedule, how many backup quarterbacks play each season, most backup quarterbacks have in-game experience, and Nathan Rourke does not have that in terms of regular season NFL experience. And so that's an uphill battle. The Giants now with Drew Lock injured could be looking to bring a quarterback in, and isn't it ironic that they had just cut a Nathan Rourke? But I think, he has long-term sustainability in Canada. Glad that he's returning up north, and a lot of cut downs coming. We're about 2 weeks away. Remember now, the 53-man cut down, they used to go from 90 to 75, then to 53. It's all in one big shebang now on August 27th.
You're exactly right, Rick. And it's hard to change people's minds. They already made their mind up, right? And it's a great point that Rick just stated. It's not just like, oh, well, you're the third string quarterback and it doesn't matter. It does matter now. Teams have to think, you know what? Can this guy actually play in a real game for us? Because it could happen. And you and I, we've been doing this for years, Rick. Dude, Skylar Thompson started a playoff game. We see this every year, where it's a 7th-round pick, an undrafted player. Joe Flacco, a veteran, gets thrust into it because they don't have any bodies left, Rick, point blank. And they'd rather an older Joe Flacco, they'd rather another guy that they've seen before than give a chance to somebody. Look at like Alex Magoo. You and I talked about him. He lit up the UFL. They didn't care. They're like, we've already made up our mind on you, Rick. That's the way it works in this league.
No, that's exactly right. And you mentioned Skylar Thompson, who I thought played extremely well. I was very impressed with him. I think he had a big-time win against the Steelers, and he's on the roster bubble. I mean, he's competing with Michael White, also NFL experience from the New York Jets over there. They're battling for the third string. Again, if you look around the league, you're right. Not just the backup, but the third-string competition. A lot of these guys have NFL experience, right? And it matters.
Rick Saratella kicking it with us. So speaking of NFL experience, the Minnesota Vikings brought in Sam Darnold because he does have some experience. I thought it was fascinating. I read an interview with Darnold, and he said he learned more. Said no disrespect to the other teams, but I learned more being with the San Francisco 49ers about being a quarterback than I did with the New York Jets and Panthers and all those years. And now he's with O'Connell. He's in a good situation. They were going to start the season with Sam Darnold, but J.J. McCarthy had been having a great camp. And we all saw what he did against the Raiders. He threw the early interception, got it out of his system, and then went to work. I saw the video that you reposted of Chase Daniel, NFL quarterback, saying this guy can play, point blank. He said, forget all the other rookies. This guy probably had the best rookie debut. This guy can play. Unfortunately, he gets dealt a blow. He's going to have to undergo surgery. Not the end of the world for him, at least. He's going to be able to come back, but nevertheless, this is the adversity of being a football player, right? He's going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, a couple things to unpack there. So, one, you speak of Sam Darnold. I mean, nothing oozes leadership like pointing the finger at others for my failures, right? So, I mean, well, way to go, Sam.
He's not wrong, to be honest, though.
Right. Yeah, but you know what, though? There's something to be said for that. And I'll tell you what, he did look good in the preseason game, but we know who the real Sam Darnold is. The real Sam Darnold will stand up. And it's a shame because the Viking season's over before it even started. J.J. McCarthy now with this meniscus surgery, it sounds like he's going to miss significant time, if not the whole season. By the time he's healthy, the Viking season will be over. I can promise you that. So they're probably better off redshirting, getting that high pick, and starting from scratch again next season. And that's unfortunate because I thought McCarthy, I think he had an early interception early on, a little sluggish start, but then he really found his groove. And I'll tell you what, from what I heard and from what I understood before that injury, McCarthy was going to take that job. Minnesota had been saying all the right things publicly to get behind Sam Darnold, but that was really J.J. McCarthy's job, and I hate to see that injury.
Yeah, it really is. It really is it's too bad. Like I said, J.J. McCarthy, it was his first game. He's playing, and he got that early interception. And I said it, Rick, if people remember in the Rose Bowl, actually, listen, I know J.J. very well. He gets fired up. He meditates before these games, but he gets fired up. And in the Rose Bowl, in the semifinal game, if you guys remember, he threw an interception on like the first play of the game, okay? And the kid on Alabama stepped out of bounds, and it didn't count. And then three plays later, he threw a pick again. And then the rest of the game, he settled down. It was like, and I swear to God, I wasn't surprised at all. And I was like, oh, he's going to throw a touchdown now. You have to get it out of his system. He was fired up. He's nervous. It's his first NFL game. And it's exactly what happened. But it is too bad. It's some good insight there from Rick Saratella about the Minnesota Vikings. Rick's pounding the pavement to find out who he's visiting on the other side. This is SportsRage.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's like it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
It just goes to show you how special this guy is, and I can't figure out why he doesn't cut through like the Tiger Woods of the world in that kind of dominant fashion in years past.
He stepped up to the tee box on the 14th hole, and he was 60-1 to win that golf tournament. You know, he was trailing by 6 shots, and he comes out on top.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
However many units are on the line, however many people, however many cocktails, like it's a perfect scorecard. And someone questioned him on one hole. He's like, well, one thing I never get wrong is the scorecard. And then we're on like 13 and he's added up and he's like, this is wrong.
I look back from number 13 and I'm like, I'm missing $140 somewhere. I don't know where I'm missing it. And I'm looking back and I'm like, no, yeah, it doesn't match up on 11. And I got to track it back to like number 7.
Only on SportsGrid.
I'm talking about playing Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, the rookie, Cody Williams, the rookie, Bryce Santamore, second year, maybe keeping Walker Kessler. That means either Danny Ainge thinks that they're going to be a championship team in 3 to 4 years, or he's going to wait 1 year and he's going to trade Lauri Markkanen and he's going to get the farm.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsRage continues. I am Gabriel Morency. Let's do this thing. We're talking football right now with Rick Saratella. Rick, so J.J. McCarthy, it's unfortunate. He threw the 2 touchdown passes, looked really good and comfortable, and just, he just has that swagger about him. And as you stated, behind the scenes, he was really lighting it up. It was only going to be a matter of time before he was the starting quarterback. This is definitely a setback for the Minnesota Vikings. But as far as some of the other rookie quarterback debuts were concerned, I saw quite a few of them, and, you can't take away too much from their first appearances. But Jaden Daniels, very comfortable. They move the ball down the field. Agile, like he looked the part. He didn't look like a rookie, actually. Like Jaden Daniels just sort of looked like, all right, the guy's getting ready for the season. Caleb Williams, a lot of eyes on Caleb Williams, and I thought Caleb Williams was very impressive as well in his debut. And I know they're not going to give away their offense, Rick, but it seems to me, I think, and, people talk about Andy Reid being a genius and all this. He basically said, we looked at Texas Tech's offense and said, all right, let's use this and that and this is what he did here. And I kind of get the feeling they're going to do the same thing. You and I talked about Caleb's, one of his faults is just sort of in the pocket. And I noticed they got him out on the run a lot. And, man, there was one throw that he made rolling out that was just incredible, like this diagonal-type throw that very few people will be able to make. I like the little dump-off in traffic that most QBs would get sacked, very Mahomes-like. He showed, look, he looked the part, bro. Caleb Williams, even if you're a doubter or a hater, you have to say, damn, he looks solid.
My God, I mean, this guy looked like a natural-born star. Are you kidding me? I can't believe the national media has not made a bigger deal. And I saw the pass you're talking about. It looked like Pistol Pete Maravich. He had a no-look behind
right down
the
the sideline like
completion.
a zip.
Unbelievable. And if Patrick Mahomes did it, it would have been the top 10 play of all the sports highlights. And I don't understand. I'm surprised it didn't get more run. But even from the first snap, he lines up under center and just real clean command. I mean, I hate to get excited about lining up under center and handing the ball off cleanly, but a lot of college quarterbacks can't do that coming out. And I thought Caleb Williams, he made some masterful throws. He squeezed the ball into tight windows. He looked natural. We saw the season C.J. Stroud had a year ago. I really believe Caleb Williams could have an even more impactful season. This is a guy who could be a top 5 NFL quarterback as a rookie, no doubt about it. And I'll transition into Jaden Daniels if you like. I think he only threw 7 passes, but that one bomb to Diami Brown about 40, 50 yards downfield, you saw the flashes of potential. And Gabe, I think we're witnessing the pinnacle of the transitioning of college quarterbacks to the pros, because these younger head coaches get it. They've simplified the offenses and have kind of transitioned to the college model. So even when you see Bo Nix get in there and he dominates the short to intermediate parts of the field, we talked about the in-game experience. These quarterbacks, not only are they more ready to transition, but the NFL coordinators and coaches have kind of adapted their offenses to the college schemes. And I think that's why you're witnessing a more successful hit rate in recent seasons with the NFL draft when it comes to quarterback prospects.
Great point, Rick. That's why I just stated about Andy Reid, who's obviously, the best in the business, one of the best in the business, one of the best ever. And we all know what he does, right? He's a film junkie. He watches tape of college football teams and every play, every offensive play that's out there, he knows about it. And it is true what Rick said. The NFL is a unique league now in that other sports, the minor leagues will model the pro league. Like Rick just stated, college football, has a massive influence on the National Football League. Coaches have realized, let's run these offenses that these kids can run. And let's take these plays that work, and we see it all the time, over and over and over again. You mentioned Bo Nix. Seems like, Bo Nix had a good start here. And considering his age and how many games he's played, I mean, he better almost be the starter right now. But they really a lot of excitement about Bo Nix right now. I've even got a bettor that sent me a tweet that said he just played Bo Nix 18-1 to win Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, listen, he could start from day one. Yeah, well, hey, I mean, Jarrett Stidham now got the start in that ball game. Bo Nix came in second. Zach Wilson finished, I believe, but, there's a chance there for him to have that Drew Brees kind of impact, because they're not going to ask him to do too much. He's going to dink and dunk his way down the field and let his receivers do the yards after the catch. Now, I just want to say we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Michael Penix, because some of the darts he was throwing out there in preseason. Yes.
We'll hit this on the other side, Michael Penix, but yeah.
try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's like it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
It just goes to show you how special this guy is, and I can't figure out why he doesn't cut through like the Tiger Woods of the world in that kind of dominant fashion in years past.
He stepped up to the tee box on the 14th hole, and he was 60-1 to win that golf tournament. You know, he was trailing by 6 shots, and he comes out on top.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
However many units are on the line, however many people, however many cocktails, like it's a perfect scorecard. And someone questioned him on one hole. He's like, well, one thing I never get wrong is the scorecard. And then we're on like 13 and he's added up and he's like, this is wrong.
I looked back from number 13 and I'm like, I'm missing $140 somewhere. I don't know where I'm missing it. And I'm looking back and I'm like, no, yeah, it doesn't match up on 11. And I got to track it back to like number 7.
Only on SportsGrid.
I'm talking about playing Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, the rookie, Cody Williams, the rookie, Bryce Sandomar, second year, maybe keeping Walker Kessler. That means either Danny Ainge thinks that they're going to be a championship team in 3 to 4 years, or he's going to wait 1 year and he's going to trade Lauri Markkanen and he's going to get the farm.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. We're talking football right now with Rick Saratella. There's so much going on, and college football rapidly approaching as well. I'm getting fired up for it. The AP Top 25 poll came out, and already there's a lot of debate and anger. Paul Feinbaum said earlier in the day that Florida State doesn't deserve to be in the top 10, and that they won't be in the top 10 when it's all said and done. I don't know what his hatred for Florida State is. Talking about a football team that ran the table last year. Yeah, they lost a lot of players, but I'm actually hearing good things out of FSU's camp. And speaking of the ACC, Rick has been pounding the pavement, although right now I've got to ask because he looks like he's in a pretty classy spot. What do you have behind you there, Rick? Like you're with royalty and pageantry, aren't you?
Yeah, you know, I had a couple chance to come back to the motherland, and I was at Villanova in Ocean City catching in the scrimmage there. Connor Watkins, a FCS quarterback to keep an eye on, and so got a chance to pop over at the luxurious Atlantic City here at the Sheraton Hotel, home of Miss America. We got the Miss America Beauty Pageant Hall of Fame right behind us.
That's not bad. Too bad there's not a Miss America behind you as well. Our ratings would be a little bit higher, but
a lot better to look at for sure.
Yeah. So what you're saying, are Villanova legit this year? Dangerous football team at the FCS level? Should we keep our eye on them and bet on them?
Yeah, I do believe Villanova is built for the long haul. They've been a perennial FCS contender, and I had a chance to go and watch them and talk to Coach Ferrante there with Connor Watkins, his third year starting. Somebody who I think is going to guide the Wildcats far, and I think they have it all. I think they could run the table. I think the odds are pretty good for them right now, and they're probably going to be a top 5 team all season long. So keep an eye on those Villanova Wildcats for sure.
So as far as the ACC is concerned, Rick, there's been some criticism of it over the past couple of years, but coming into this year, I find it to be pretty interesting, actually, and there's some pretty good football teams in it. I think Clemson are better than people give them credit for. People are really hyping up this Miami Hurricane team, although I'd say slow down a little bit on that. Florida State, for whatever reason, just don't get any respect, and I think you're just feeding into Mike Norvell right now by disrespecting this program like this. And you got the Louisville Cardinal, who, are just, sort of finding their ground right now. One really surprising thing about the Louisville Cardinals last year was how good their defense was. Now, they got to replace a lot of bodies on offense and, wide receivers. The Plummer is gone, their quarterback as well. They bring in the transfer from Texas Tech. So what do you make of this Louisville team? I know their defense is going to be good, but what about their offense? What will Tyler Shaw do at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I got to tell you, Gabe, I had a chance to go into the Ville, and I came away thoroughly impressed. I mean, this is a team that was in the ACC championship just a year ago. Let's not forget, they were 10-2. They returned 66% of their starters from a year ago. And, oh, by the way, they added about 30 transfer portals, half of which are from P4 programs. So they really stocked up. I think Tyler Shuck, who started at Oregon, was at Texas Tech, is a sixth-year senior, has started 20 or 30 games at the collegiate level. If he can stay healthy, this is a high-octane offense. Number 0, Chris Bell, I thought was the best-looking pro prospect of the bunch. But number 1, Ja'Cory Brooks is a transfer from Alabama, big, explosive, boundary type of receiver. And then number 5, Lacey, is this slot, quick jitterbug. And then I go there, and number 2, I don't even know his name. Number 2 is making plays all over the practice field. This Louisville offense is going to be hard to stop. This is a team that returns most of their starters. You mentioned the defense. Gelati, the defensive end, I think number 9 on the program, he's a potential first-round pick. This Louisville team is loaded. And if they improve by one game, this is an 11-win program and a FBS playoff team.
You look at Louisville. Look, their win total is 8.5 right now. The schedule is challenging. They host the Miami Hurricanes. They go on the road. They play the Clemson Tigers. They go to Notre Dame. They go to Kentucky. That's the meat of their schedule, and that's not easy. Like, they're 4 tough games: Miami, Clemson, Notre Dame, Kentucky. That's a tough sled right there.
Yeah, and I think 2-2 of those 4 big games is very doable. And if they do that, I guess they'll be 10-2 again, and it'll be interesting to see like how everybody else. Well, how many of these Power 4 conference teams get into the 12-team playoffs? Do they take 3 ACC teams? Do they take 4? I don't know. I don't know what the equation, what the criteria is going to be, but
they're going to take 1
out of 12.
They didn't put him in last year. There's going to be like 3. I don't know. There's going to be 3 Big Ten, 3 SEC, and like I said, the ACC I think will get 1, unless 2 teams are like 11-1 or something like that when it's all said and done.
Well, I think they have the expanded format this year, though, right?
Yes, they do. But it's expanded for the SEC to get in. I mean, the SEC commissioner's already talking about 3 lost teams in the SEC getting in, right? Like, so, like the ACC, they're not. It's viewed as the lowest tier of those conferences. Like the Big Ten and the SEC are running this stuff now, So that's my take. I think they'll get 1 in.
Well, it'll be interesting what the college football playoff committee decides. I think it'll be really interesting to see.
And my hot take is, I think Clemson, I don't know if they're going to beat them, but I think they can. I think it's going to be super close in week 1 against Georgia. I think that's the one. I think Clemson are better than people realize. They kind of criticize them, Rick, because, Dabo doesn't do the transfer portal stuff very much and the NIL stuff. But I liked his answer to it. He basically said, he goes, I've had a top 15 recruiting class for the last whatever. And he goes, I've got all these returning guys. I believe in these guys, and I think they're good. Clemson, they're missing a couple of playmakers here and there, but what's your take on Klubnik at the quarterback position? Because it seems to me that NFL people seem to like him more than the college football world does.
I think the grades fluctuate there. I think he's a competent quarterback. I don't know if he's a superstar. I haven't seen him be able to win the big games. And I do think you're at a disadvantage if you don't embrace the transfer portal in today's college football climate. I think there's a shifting of the college football landscape. You got Nick Saban that's out of the picture. Clemson hasn't really embraced the transfer portal. Jim Harbaugh has gone off to the NFL. I think it's wide open. I think you're going to see a lot of teams. I think it's right there where I talked about Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. That's still my squad. I think the college football landscape is wide open for some new cats to kind of run the scene.
You look at the top 10, and there's a lot of paper champions. There's a lot of teams that are sort of hyped up, that have done well in the transfer portals, that have recruited well, but actually haven't ever done it before, right? Ole Miss is one of those teams. The Oregon Ducks, people are ready to anoint them champions right now. It's like, okay, now you're in the Big Ten. It's going to be a little bit, different, but it's going to be fascinating, man, to see how it plays out with the 12 teams in the playoffs right now. And teams in college football, guys, are playing such difficult schedules right now that they're not used to playing. So it's going to change everything. 9-3 might get you in the playoffs now if your schedule's tough enough when it's all said and done. But we're going to find out early, Rick. And I just want to say, all the teams in the transfer portal and stuff, they don't win. We'll find out now with Ohio State. Ohio State are the first case in point for the NIL was Texas A&M, and it got their coach fired. They didn't win anything, and they got their coach fired. Now the big thing for the transfer portal and the NIL, the new test model, is Ohio State. You're spending $20 million on players right now. $20 million, and then plus your coaching staff. More than like a CFL team.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
It just goes to show you how special this guy is, and I can't figure out why he doesn't cut through like the Tiger Woods of the world in that kind of dominant fashion in years past.
He stepped up to the tee box on the 14th hole, and he was 60-1 to win that golf tournament. He was trailing by 6 shots, and he comes out on top.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
However many units are on the line, however many people, however many cocktails, it's a perfect scorecard. And someone questioned him on one hole. He's like, well, one thing I never get wrong is the scorecard. And then we're on 13 and he's added up and he's like, this is wrong.
I looked back from number 13 and I'm like, I'm missing $140 somewhere. I don't know where I'm missing it. And I'm looking back and I'm like, no, it doesn't match up on 11. And I got to track it back to number 7.
Only on SportsGrid.
I'm talking about playing Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, the rookie, Cody Williams, the rookie, Bryce Santamore, second year, maybe keep it Walker Kessler. That means either Danny Ainge thinks that they're going to be a championship team in 3 to 4 years, or he's going to wait 1 year and he's going to trade Lauri Markkanen and he's going to get the farm.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Great stuff with Rick Saratella. We'll talk more college football on level 3. Mo Khan's going to step up, and then it's been a lot of talk about the top 25 that's been released a couple of days ago. It's the great thing about college football, the anger that it elicits and the passion of different fan bases. And Florida State fans were livid last year, and the university was livid after being let out of the college football playoffs. They're once again feeling disrespected coming into this year. The ACC as a whole has a chip on its shoulder. The Michigan Wolverines are ranked 9th. It's the lowest ranking for a defending national champion in 13 years. The last time a defending national champion was ranked so low was the Auburn Tigers, who won the national championship but lost Cam Newton after the fact. And the Michigan coaches and players, like, they're using this. They're aware of the rankings. So college football, we're less than 2 weeks away right now. It's rapidly approaching. August 24th is kickoff with the aforementioned Florida State. So if you're playing any Florida State futures this year, you can't wait till the 31st. They're playing on the 24th. Similarly, if you're playing any Georgia Tech futures, they need to be in. The 4 teams that are playing on the first Saturday: Georgia Tech, Florida State, SMU, and Nevada. So if you're playing any of those 4 teams futures, probably time to almost put them in. Unless you like the over, wait till the final second. Talk about this all the time. Look at the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy now going to be out for probably a couple of months. And, one of the reasons why I like the Vikings, because I was so high on J.J. McCarthy. Now suddenly it's just Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold was either going to get hurt or replaced by J.J. McCarthy. So I'm not in love with the Viking overpick as much as I was before J.J. McCarthy's surgery that he has to get. I guess the only positive side, I'm seeing 4 to 6 weeks, and there's 3 weeks before the season starts. So, maybe J.J. McCarthy will be good to go by October type of deal. But who knows with a torn meniscus. I imagine the kid's going to be a pretty quick healer. But looking at the odds once again for the top 2s in each division, let's blast through it. Cam Stewart in the house. So the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins are plus 130. The Bills and the Jets are plus 190. The Dolphins and Jets are plus 225. And then who cares about the Patriots? They're not going to be in the top 2. So I personally would go with the Bills and Dolphins just because I do have a hard time buying in and believing in the New York Jets, although they do have a ton of talent. I can't dismiss them.
I kind of like I like the Bills to win the division, and I kind of like the Jets, Gabe. But as you said, though, like anything can happen with AR. We don't know about Rodgers. Got hurt in the first game last year, but I just think the Bills, it's funny because this is the year they're under the radar, and I really, really like them. I like the draft picks that they had at the receiver position. They have 2 of the best tight ends. It's going to be up to Cook, catch a lot of balls in the backfield, and it's up to their defense. I really like Buffalo, though. I actually put a Super Bowl bet on them. I know that's crazy. They got to get there first, but I think Buffalo is I think they can represent the AFC. I think they're a very dangerous football team. I like them to win the division. I think the Jets come second, Dolphins third, and Patriots fourth.
Well, the Bills first and Jets second, plus 190. Thing with the Bills, I think the Bills are good. They have been good the past couple of years. This era, they've been really good. I don't really think this year will be any different. But the problem is the AFC is just so damn good. So even if you're really good, you're going to have to face a great team in the playoffs. And the Bills have been unable to run through the gauntlet and beat these great teams consecutively. You got to believe that eventually the Kansas City Chiefs will fall short. They're motivated by this third Super Bowl championship in a row. But, man, the AFC is a tough conference. The AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals are the sort of, slam dunk consensus. This division provides little value. The Ravens and Bengals to be the top 2 teams in the division in any order is minus 120. The Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns to be the top 2 teams in the division, plus 400. The Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, plus 500. The Bengals and Browns, plus 550. Bengals and Steelers, plus 800. And the biggest payout, the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers are the top 2 teams in this division this year, and that's 22-1, plus 2,200. This is a very competitive division. Like, they're all good teams, and by, at different levels. Baltimore is a very, very good team. Cincinnati's a very, very good team. Cleveland is a good team. And then you got Pittsburgh, who I think are a good team as well. You've got Russell Wilson there now. So we don't really know the combination of what Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are going to do at the quarterback position, Cam. One thing with the Steelers, it would be a big upgrade if they pull off this IU trade that they're talking about. That might go down in the next day or two.
Great call, Gabe. Another big, tall receiver there with Pittsburgh. It'll help. I think Cleveland offers the most value in the division. We know one thing. They have one of the best offensive lines in football. And you know what? It's just about Deshaun Watson. If he could just, really be special. I know he's getting older. He's had some injuries and stuff. But I believe in Cleveland. I think they got a lot of young players on the defensive side of the ball. We talked about Del Pitt from LSU and these other guys that I think they're getting better. They were younger and raw. Now they're good. I think the Browns, I already bet their wins total over 8.5. I think they can win this division. You said it, Morency. Great call by you. I think this division, I could literally make a case for almost every team in this division. Nothing would shock me here. I think it's the most wide open.
I think they got it right. I think Baltimore and Cincinnati are the best teams in the division, but it's such an evenly matched division at minus 120. Like, at least with the Bills and Dolphins, I'm getting plus 130, or the Bills and Jets, I'm getting plus 190. And a future bet, anytime, if you can get plus money, it's a better option. The Browns are good. This is a tough division. Man, the Bengals are still going to be really good, right? The Bengals are going to win games. The Ravens are going to win games. The Ravens have a tough schedule, but I understand. I'm going to go Captain Chalk here, but I'm not going to bet it. Baltimore and Cincinnati is minus 120. The AFC South, the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars, plus 150. That's pretty good. Like, when you consider this other odds is minus 120. Listen, I like what the Indianapolis Colts are doing. I think they're going in the right direction, but are they better than the Jacksonville Jaguars are now? Probably not, no. And they're not better than the Houston Texans are.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
I'm talking about playing Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, the rookie, Cody Williams, the rookie, Bryce Santamore, second year, maybe keep it Walker Kessler. That means either Danny Ainge thinks that they're going to be a championship team in 3 to 4 years, or he's going to wait 1 year and he's going to trade Lauri Markkanen and he's going to get the farm.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Corn Ferry tour.
The top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rory, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, all four Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, it really is pretty deep.
In-game live, prime time, only on...
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I'm Gabriel Morency. We're talking college football with Rick Saratella. I'm going to get into the top 10 a little later on with Mo, as I think a lot of teams in the top 10 are being overrated. And the media, the AP, and even the coaches, for the most part, are really falling for a lot of the sizzle, and a lot of programs that consistently fall short all the time are very highly ranked this year. One team that is locked in the 2-hole right now is Ohio State. And listen, Ohio State, they have a head coach. He's 56-8, and he's on the hot seat this year for real. He's lost 3 years. Ryan Day's lost 3 years in a row to the Michigan Wolverines. That can't happen there. They've gone all out. They're spending $20 million on their NIL deals and players. They have like a bigger salary cap than most MLS teams do. So they need to win. Like, the pressure is immense on Ohio State. And when you build that type of pressure on a team, and I'm not a big transfer portal guy. I've talked about it, Cap. The Michigan Wolverines just won the national championship. They didn't do any transfer guys. They had no transfer portal guys.
Great
like,
call.
and this year, the Michigan Wolverines won the national championship. They lost a bunch of players. They brought in a couple of transfers, Cams, but you know where they're from? They brought in a wide receiver from Youngstown State.
Yeah, small schools.
Right? They
Like,
brought
guys who are
exactly. They bring in these good
players.
players that not diva guys, but like, yeah, this guy's good enough to play for us. Let's bring him on, right?
Yes.
But they're not. People were like, "Oh, Michigan's got to go get a transfer portal quarterback." They're like, "No, we've got 3 quarterbacks already that are our guys that we've groomed. We're not bringing in someone new." And teams do that, Cam. All these transfer portal teams don't win, and every year people fall for it. Oh, their transfer portal, NIL deals. They don't win. Teams that recruit well and have their own players win. This is a desperation move by Ohio State. And their schedule is trickier this year. Listen, they open up with Akron. They're going to win by 60. They play Western Michigan. They'll win by 50. They're playing Marshall. They'll win by 40 or whatever. They go to Michigan. They go to Michigan State. They'll beat Michigan State. They host Iowa. They'll beat Iowa. October the 12th, they go to Oregon in one of the games of the year. I think they're going to beat the Ducks personally. I think the Ducks are overrated more so than Ohio State are, in my opinion. But they could lose that game. Then it's Nebraska at Ohio State. They'll beat them. Ohio State at Penn State's always a battle. That's a battle for them. Purdue at Ohio State's a cakewalk. Ohio State Northwestern, cakewalk. Indiana, Ohio State, cakewalk. And then they end with Michigan. They do have 3 losable games. And I tell you what, 2 of them are on the road. Ohio State at Oregon and Ohio State at Penn State. Those are 2 losable games.
Morency, I'm going to tell you this. It's a bet I've already made. It's 10.5, and I'm looking at these books like minus 80 for the over. I think they do. You know what? Great call. I know it's tough. A lot of people are thinking 11. I think 10. I think they lose 2 of those games. I think they can lose to Oregon. I think they can lose to Michigan. And I think they can lose to Penn State. And I believe they will lose 2 of those games and finish with 10 wins. And the under for Ohio State is plus 160 on some books. Everyone's smashing the over. You brought up great points about the transfer portal. You do I want to play with divas and all this stuff? Problem with those guys, when something goes wrong, it goes real wrong. Michigan did it right. I love what your call. Youngstown State receiver. You get another kid from a small school that's amazing that wants to be a part of a winning program. I think Ohio State is very talented, arguably one of the best teams in the nation. But if things go bad, they're going to go real bad. You talked about pressure. I will take under 10.5 with Ohio State to plus money.
I think Michigan did bring in a kid from Alabama, actually. I can look at the transfer portal. I think they did want it. Yeah, but like he wanted to leave though after the coaching thing. So I think they might have run it in like, but it was really small. Like they brought in like 5 or 6 kids type of thing in the transfer portal, and none. I'm not positive it was Alabama. Might have been Tennessee. There was an SEC player or 2, but man, all these teams are facing tough schedules now. That Ohio State-Oregon game is a key one. And it should be noted, too, the Ducks actually went into Columbus and beat Ohio State a couple of years ago. It was like 2 years ago. Yep. So they can match up with them, but I personally think the Ducks are overrated. I think Ohio State will only lose 1 game this year. Maybe they stumble at Oregon. Maybe they stumble at Penn State. I don't think they will, to be honest. And as much as I hate them, and I hate to say this, but Michigan are going to be in tough, like to beat them 4 years in a row. This is in Columbus now. But this is the new college football world, Cam. The game doesn't even really matter anymore. I hate to say it, but it's true. Like, as a Michigan fan, and I tell you what, Ohio State fans, it doesn't matter. You go 10-2, you're going to be in the playoffs.
For sure.
So these games have kind of like lost their meaning a bit.